Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. Thank you for joining us. The ongoing testimonials around the stealing of $6.2 million from the coffers of the Central Bank of Nigeria under sacked governor of the bank, Godwin Emiefele, allegedly by three persons who forged the signature of former President Muhammadu Buhari, as testified by his secretary to the government, Boss Mustapha, before a federal high court, has again raised questions on the seeming blind trust the former president had on supposed trusted officials and allies. This is coming at a time about 8 of his ministers are currently under the radar of the EFCC, which is investigating them, and they have been accused of misappropriating public funds running into billions, if not trillions, of tax fares money. These trusted officials of the Buhari administration, if found culpable, must have abused the trust bestowed onto them by the former president, who has also been seen to have exhibited high level of nonchalant or outright indifference in demanding accountability from his appointees. While Buhari has not been found wanting nor indicted for any corruption allegation in his past stewardship as military state, Minister of Petroleum, Chairman of Petroleum Development Fund, PTF, among several other positions, the same may not be guaranteed among his appointed officials. His name is now being dragged in the mud for the so much trust he bestowed on his subordinates. It is against this backdrop we will be engaging the Director of Information of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bala Ibrahim, who recently wrote an article titled Buhari/Emiefele and the Albatross of Too Much Trust. Thank you very much for coming to our studio once again.
Thank you very much, Hamza, for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Before we engage in the conversation, here are some of our tidbits, of course. As part of government efforts to mitigate the prevailing food prices in the country, President Bola Tinubu has met with all the 36 state governors at the council chambers of the presidential villa in Abuja on Thursday. This is the second time the president is meeting with the state governors since he inaugurated the National Economic Council on June 15, 2023. The meeting, Daily Trust gathered, followed increasing food prices and hardship in the country, which has led to disenchantment among many segments of the society. Meanwhile, the National Bureau of Statistics said today that the headline inflation rate increased year-on-year by 0.98% points to 29.9% in January 2024 from 28.92% in December 2023. The Bureau disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index (CPI) report for January 2024, noting that food inflation also increased to 35.41% during the period from 33.93% in December. We'll now take a short break, and when we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Welcome back. Bala, once again, welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we will start with our tidbits before we go to your article, of course. The president met with the 36 state governors, trying to find solution to the prevailing situation in the country. Did we ever anticipate something like this in a rich and endowed country like Nigeria? Or we got it wrong at a certain point?
Well, at the risk of talking in a way and manner that probably may offend some people, I will say either we underestimated what to expect, or we didn't take what we found with the seriousness it deserved. In a country like Nigeria, where you are talking of about more than 200 million people, in a country like Nigeria, where things almost change by the second, in a country where statistics is not very reliable, certain things ought to be done with a very wide margin. Whatever you are planning to do, if you have in contemplation 10 people, I will say plan for 20 people, double it. Nobody expected that from the time the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, took over office, things will drag this long without a clear-cut solution. Reason being, this is the first time Nigeria is having a businessman as a president. The previous presidents we have are either purely politicians or ex-servicemen. So they may not necessarily understand the factors that operate in the market as far as return on investment is concerned. But with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the expectations is higher in the sense that he is a businessman, a politician, and now the president. Besides, he has done magic in Lagos when he was the governor. Now, he has waited for a long time for this office. So everyone is expecting that immediately he takes over, he will hit the ground running with a lot of things that will really make people see the dividend of democracy. I know he has been doing that. I know he has the intention of doing that. But the degree of trust politicians or elected office holders give to subordinates is such that this type of results are not coming out in the way they are supposed to. So Nigeria is in this quagmire, economically, politically, financially, and what have you, because I think we have not done the right homework in getting to put square pegs in square holes. Until that is done, maybe rapid results may not be what we should be seeing.
All right, we will still revisit this last part of your take on this. And the other issue they actually brought to the fore during the meeting was state police. It's like they are trying to reach a kind of consensus. Do you think it's also the way to go, having state police at this point in time? Yeah, and it's like they all agree that they will just have state police.
Well, I am not an advocate or supporter of state police because of the nature of Nigeria. In advanced democracies, yes, America has state police. They have different layers of police. UK, they have different layers of police. But you see, policing a country that is advanced with a virtually common culture and a scientific way of thinking, a refined method of behavior, is different from policing a country that has chaotic everything. You see, simple difference in politics can cause friction between one state and another. Now, in a situation where you have states in the neighborhood of each other, one is in a party A and the other one is in a party B. The chief executives have different ideologies. They have different party leaning and party followership. A slight or simple disagreement can trigger a lot of reactions that could lead to serious fight. Now, I am not saying that's what will happen, but in the event that such thing happen, you will find it very difficult for Governor A to cross over State B and go to State C, because if he is in disagreement with Governor B, Governor B will unleash his police against him on transit to attack him. Or if there is any need for the execution of an order and Governor A and Governor B are not on the same page, Governor B may disagree or refuse to allow the enforcement of that order in his state. If you don't have uniformity in policing, and Nigeria is an example where such disunity is common, there is likely to be regular clashes between the police of State A and the police of State B. So much so that people will start accusing one another of sponsoring thieves or thugs to go and steal or cause mayhem in another state.
Okay, finally on this, but you can see, especially in the north now, each governor is now having a kind of quasi-security outfit. Zamfara, established is not quite long. We have one in Katsina, we have it in Borno, almost all the states is now becoming a trend, having quasi-security apparatus. Don't you think this is more dangerous than having formal state police, which will have people that are, to greater extent, refined to do the work?
Well, you see, this quasi-security apparatus that we have all over the place, these are outfits with limited powers to police and even prosecute. None of them can go to court and prosecute a suspect of anyone. So their own powers are limited to motor parks, market, and probably political arena. Now, when it comes to serious crime that needs to be prosecuted in court, you need people with powers that are backed by law to go and do that. You need people with the powers to effect arrest. You need people with the powers to carry arms. There are so many things that can only be done if there is a constitutional backing. Now, this quasi-security apparatus, they are mainly put there to control traffic and check minor offenses on the road or what have you. And even where such offenses become big, they have to hand them over to the police. They cannot from Kano move to Kogi and prosecute. They cannot. They don't have such power. Yeah. So, but a state police, if I understand the way they want to make it, is going to be like the Nigeria police. Now, what stops you from empowering and enriching and equipping the present police arrangement in such a way that you have the kind of requirement that is prescribed by the United Nations or world organizations? In a country of about 250 million people, you have less than that you have less than 300,000 police. Yeah. How you cannot police properly? So instead of creating state police, collapse this quasi-security outfits, give them a crash program test, allow them to do the proper police training, and then release them, indoctrinate them, and enrich and strengthen the police. If we have about 500,000 police in Nigeria, for instance, our problem will be minimized to the barest minimum. Of course, there will be problems.
But beyond militarizing the country or making everywhere to have police, what do you think governments at all levels should do, or should rather give attention to reduce crime and criminalities, so that people will all have a sense of belonging in the country?
Well, I think there is the need for us to do like Britain did when John Major was the Prime Minister. The need to go back to basics. We need to do a lot of social orientation and reorientation. We have to revisit our values and make sure that, yes, we are working in tandem with what is expected of us as human beings. Nigeria is not short of laws that will check the commission of crime. What we are short of is the will to execute or go by the provisions in the book. If really we want to reduce crime, we have to understand what is crime itself and who is a criminal and what constitutes crime. In Nigeria today, the way our setting is and the way we seem to be behaving, we have come to accept the culture of acquisition of wealth, and we celebrate the corrupt as long as he brings home. Nobody cares about the criminal as long as he is one of them or one of us. Until the society begin to frown and check how people make their money. You just leave home, 6 months, 1 year or 2 years later, you left with nothing. Then you come back home with cars, you build houses, you marry the best women in the locality. In no time, you'll be celebrated, you'll be given title, you become an idol. Nobody check how you made that money. How did you make that money? So if we sanitize our way of thinking and we reorient our people to understand the value of being good citizens, to understand the value of being our neighbor's keepers, whoever comes with money that is seen to be ill-gotten, or that cannot be substantiated or traced to a productive source of income, that person will be an outcast, or he will be treated like an outcast, and people will begin to respect those who made it legitimately and legally. So if we sanitize our way of thinking, nobody will come from the outside, or nobody will suddenly turn from a beggar to a donor in the society, and he will be celebrated. We will check. We will have to find out, how did you make that money? Probably is the proceeds of crime you bring in, and you are celebrated.
All right. Thank you very much. Of course, I think we should go straight now to the subject of the day. Of course, we have the other one, which I think we can embed in the course of our conversation. That is the inflation. Our topic, of course, blind trust. Is former President Buhari a victim? And this is actually motivated by an article, you released yesterday, if I'm not wrong. You said Buhari struck Emiefele and the albatross of too much trust. What is the motivation?
Well, you see, former President Muhammadu Buhari is one person I hold in esteem. In fact, I respect him beyond description.
We know. I've been monitoring your write-ups about him when he was in power, even before he got to, the last office, which is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We call you Buharist.
You can call me anything, even beyond Buharist, if you do. As a matter of fact, when I got married in 1993, Buhari paid the dowry.
Wow.
So that is the extent to which I hold him. I met him, I told him about the wedding, and he said he will not only attend, but he is going to take care of the dowry. So
this was 1993.
1993.
Almost 31 years now.
So he he reduced my problem from stomach ache to headache. What I had in contention to face then was just the Fanta, Coca-Cola I need to buy for this thing. But he took care of everything. And believe you me, in addition to the dowry, he gave me a small envelope. So that is to show you the extent to which he had touched my life. If I had my way, if not that all my children, I named them after my parents. I have 4. 2 were named after the girls were named after my mother's-in-law. The boys were named after my father and my father-in-law. If God had given me another one and he's a male, I would have named him Buhari. So I hold Buhari in esteem. Oh, yeah. Buhari is one person that has been everything in Nigeria. In fact, there is no Nigerian, living or dead, that is more experienced in leadership than Buhari in Nigeria today, because he has been everything. He was a governor, he was a minister, he was a head of state, he was a president, he was the first and the last chairman of the richest parastatal ever in Nigeria, the PTF. He went through this ladder of leadership without a stain of corruption. No Nigerian has done that, either today, living or dead. So when it comes to experience in leadership, you have to give it to Buhari as the one who has climbed the ladder the most. And he has been GOC in all the commands of Nigeria, probably, except one.
The new ones that were created, maybe.
The GOC. He was a GOC in all, I think almost all, I'm not sure, before he became commander-in-chief. So you see, as far as uniform experience is concerned, he has gone to the peak. As far as military experience is concerned, he has gone to the peak. As far as political experience is concerned, he has gone to the peak. And God has given him the advantage of height and age. So he has seen everything. So one will expect that a person who has gone through this will be very meticulous and very thorough when it comes to assigning assignments to people that will help him. Unfortunately, I see that missing in Buhari. He seems to be a person that when he delegates responsibility to you, he just gives it to you and he leaves you to your conscience after you have sworn to an oath. And I think that is wrong, because every elected official has an unsigned contract with the electorate. It is also expected that you, the elected, who is going to appoint another person, will have a signed agreement with your own appointee, and you will monitor his performance regularly, because if he fails, the people will not ask him, who is the one that appoints the appointee? You that appointed him is the one in whose direction finger will be pointed at. And exactly in the light of what has happened in court this week, where the former governor of the central bank, the Apex Bank, the custodian of the money of the country, is accused of forging the president's signature to remove $6.2 million.
That's huge.
This is the custodian of the country's money, is accused of forgery, and not forging the signature of a policeman guarding the bank, forging the #1 of the country. Then you know the country must take serious the issue of delegation of responsibility or trust. So that's what motivated me to write that article, to draw the attention of former President Buhari to the issue of trust. Nobody can accuse former President Muhammadu Buhari of negligence or corruptly enriching himself.
But how negligent can someone be if now, in that article, you also mentioned about 8 ministers, right?
Yes.
Have been mentioned, and they are being quizzed by the EFCC. Can't we just qualify Buhari as a negligent person?
Well, I don't want to use the word negligence. It may be too harsh without hearing from him. But I can accuse him of over-trusting people. Because in fairness, for us to arrive at a conclusion of negligence, we need to hear from him. But on the surface, based on what we see, we cannot say Buhari is someone that gives timeline and kind of stampede his appointees to perform within the framework of that timeline and come up with a big stick to say, if you fail to do this within this period, if there is no target and timeline, if you fail to perform, this is the consequences that will befall you. I don't see that as the style of Buhari's leadership, which to me does not conform with the expectations of performance in my own thinking. There are people who just see that as say, okay, because I work sincerely, honestly, anybody that I appoint or is working with me will also come with the same mindset to duty. Some people like Buhari, I think that is the way he behaves. In that case, I think Buhari is culpable. It doesn't work like that. You need to monitor. If you give someone assignment, you need to breathe over his shoulder to ensure that what he is doing is in conformity with the context and content of the contract he signed. If he deviates, you look at it, tell him to stop and set him aside, change him, and bring someone that will be able to meet your target and timeline.
But if I ask you whether the Buhari persona was exaggerated for the past 50 years, will you agree with me?
Yes, I will agree with you. I will agree with you in the sense that we over-expect. You see, Buhari transformed from a military man to a politician. It is very difficult for a person that was trained to obey without questions, a person that was trained to respect regimentation, a person that was not trained to subject whatever he's going to do to public scrutiny, logic, and political permutations or shenanigans. You expect that person who all his life was trained to be rigid. If he cannot break the ice, let him use force. There is nothing like massage the ice or warm it to melt it. No, just break it. It has to be. The logic is get the result. How you get it is immaterial. If need be, use force. The military training is to use force to achieve result. Now, this person transformed into a politician where even the time to sleep is subject to public opinion, the time to wake up is subject to public opinion, the decision to execute a project must go to a certain representative to decide, and you have to do this and have to do this. Sometimes you have clash of conscience. So those who saw Buhari in the military years and the way and manner he executed his programs were expecting him to do the same under a political arrangement and achieve the same or even bigger result. He said, I heard him say, that when they came to power as military leaders, what they did was to assemble all the former politicians and political office holders, bundle them into prison, and tell them to prove their innocence. Now, as politicians, under democracy, democracy came with a different dictate. Democracy says you are assumed innocent. It is for the one that is accusing you to prove your guilt. So they are at parallel positions. So Buhari's performance has been very wary. Probably he has the conscience of military in him, and the consequences he faced as a result of his rigidity, he was overthrown. And now he transformed to a politician who became extra cautious. It is that over-caution that caused the problem. Whatever he was doing it with a lot of caution so that there will not be an uproar and cry from the public that may result to what had happened to him as a military. This is my thinking.
But then, you know, during the military era, many believe that it was not actually the Buhari that was leading. It was Tunde Idiabo. Even during PTF, the, you know, excellent performance there, people are attributed to Salehijo, you know, the consortium, you know, and all that. And that is why people are believing that, after all, Buhari isn't actually the person we all thought he is. Maybe he has been an opportunist person all through his life. If he's lucky to have the right people, like Idiabo, he performed. But in the event he didn't get the right people, he felt as he felt during his last 8 years. Could that be true?
No, I don't think that is true. You see, Nigerians are very difficult people when it comes to leadership and public expectation. I think Buhari played a politician, a Democrat in uniform. That is a person who is in charge but believes in the delegation of responsibility. So he delegated responsibilities when he was in military.
To Idiagbom, for instance.
Yes, that is as provided for by the military decree. Idiagbom then was the chief of staff, supreme headquarters. So he was like the engine of the government. Naturally, you have to fuel and fund the engine very well if you want the vehicle to perform well. So he delegated the responsibility that are supposed to be delegated while he does that which he is expected to do in the Supreme Military Council, where collective decisions are taken. So, and we were so lucky to have Idiagbom with a mindset similar to Buhari. The two of them have one thing you cannot take away from them. They are not good at talking. They don't believe in blowing their trumpets. They just believe in walking and letting their walk speak for them. There are other people, the reverse is the case of Babangida, who is more of a politician in uniform. Babangida has a way of massaging the ego of everybody, has a way of carrying almost everybody, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to go along with him, and in the process, he succeeds in doing that which the public wants to see done.
But many Nigerians believe that Babangida performed far, far better than Buhari if you put them on scale. Look at Abuja, look at most agencies that Nigerians are being employed and all that.
Yeah, well, I am not trying to compare or weigh the performance of the two. The circumstances are different. The period or tenure of each is different. And the methodology they use also differ. But I can tell you, Babangida tend to engage politics or democratic techniques in dictatorship more than Buhari, who was a rigid dictator. So probably that method of Babangida of democratizing dictatorship has helped him to achieve more. Also, he had the advantage of being longer in power. But you can see that at the end of the day, the two of them got the same report. That is, Nigerians said, no, we are not happy, we want you to go. Babangida, despite what he has done, despite all the achievements he brought to Nigeria within the period he ruled, at the end of the day, he was forced to step aside. You will not expect that Nigerians will tell the person who has done for them that much, they will compel him to step aside. You will expect that it's going to be ovation all the way. All the way. In fact, the usual antics in Africa is that such leaders will be called upon to continue, remove the uniform and transform. But Babangida was asked to step aside, or so he said. The same thing happened to Buhari. He was forced out, and
then he had to leave the scene.
He had to leave the scene.
All right, thank you very much. We'll take a short break, Bala, and we'll be back shortly. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have in the studio Bala Ibrahim, is the Director of Information of the All Progressive Congress, APC. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Hamza.
Yes. Can we say Buhari was not in charge during his tenure, going by what we are seeing now? The things that are coming out from all the ministries, the agencies.
Well, I want us to separate reality from fiction or speculations.
Okay.
Out there are a lot of speculations about who is in charge and who is not in charge. That is another thing that is the right of those who speculate. They have the right to speculate. But to validate that speculation is another thing. As far as we are concerned, there has nothing been done to show that when he was the president of Nigeria, Buhari was not in charge. We have seen in all official functions, we have seen from his appointees, we have seen from his remarks that he was the president and commander in charge of Nigeria. He was the one giving orders. He was the one taking appointments.
But how can this be proven, Bala? When you look at Emiefele, for instance, the person who started this conversation and the person who actually ignited your listen to write. You know, he inherited it from Jonathan. This man came, he was doing all what he was doing. He even attempted to contest for the presidency. Buhari was watching. Almost, quite a number of the ministers were there. The railway redesign, so many things. People believe that he was actually not in charge.
Well, I think the time has arrived for Nigerians to take a critical look and think about the submission of the former presidential spokesman, Dr. Reuben Abati. Reuben Abati, having been in the villa as the presidential spokesperson of Jonathan, said there is a supernatural power in the villa that operates.
You want to believe?
I think in the light of what is happening now, we should not dismiss in total that submission by Dr. Reuben Abati.
Well, I'm not going back to archaic, maybe, centuries back, where you believe in all these supernatural powers and all that. Maybe they are just not qualified to be there in the first instance, the leaders.
They may not, these things may not be scientifically proven, but that is not to say we should detach them from our memory. More so when someone who has been there, who is a social commentator like you and I, who has seen it from the outside and has seen it from the inside, vis-a-vis the manner and the behavior of the leaders that go into the villa, what we see. As we are now, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is less than 1 year in office. already this type of accusations and allegations have begun flying.
That he is possessed.
Is possessed. So much so that some people are saying there is a new cabal now in the villa, made up of the chief of staff, made up of the NSA, made up of the first lady, made up of this, made up of
and
this.
Baba Akande.
Baba Akande. They are the ones that are dictating and determining what to do. You see, until we hear from the other side, and the president was even forced to react on 2 occasions, saying, leave my chief of staff alone, I still have confidence in him. But that narrative has not changed. So I don't want to believe that Buhari was not in charge when he was the president. Rather, it is these same people, or it is the natural characteristics or behavior of Nigerians to accuse some people for manipulating or controlling the leader, especially where the leader is bent or determined to delegate responsibility and allow him to be the oversight seer, the one who controls and coordinates. So the mention of Tunde, the mention of Malam Mamman, the mention of this, the mention of that, we cannot confirm that. And I don't want us to work with that, other than to say, if there is anything we should accuse former President Muhammadu Buhari, is to accuse him of too much trust, such mighty trust he placed on people, and his failure to visibly execute the responsibility of oversight on these people is what I found wanting, and I keep saying that is where his fault lies.
And I'm very happy that we are not going into the technicalities. We are also only talking about what is happening on the surface, because this is something that will, is in the court. But somebody who is planning to do PhD, he called, trying to seek for my advice, saying he really wants to demystify Buhari, to see whether he's actually complicit by proxy in some of these things that happen. Look at the NSIP program, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and look at the accusations, on the heads of Tunde, who is his PA. Look at Aviation Ministry. He was just quiet there, and people are saying maybe these people are actually holding some of these misfortunes, I don't want to call them fortunes, in trust for the president. Most likely, if he's in charge, then he's aware of what was happening, and he decided to keep quiet.
You see, culpability comes in a number of ways.
Okay.
It can be as a result of direct participation. It can be as a result of indirect participation, or sequel to negligence. Whatever the bottom line or the determinator is, culpability. You are guilty. If you are given a responsibility, the onus is on you to see to the execution of that responsibility to the fullest. Some people have a way, like I said, of getting their work done without delay. Some people have different methods of getting results. Ultimately, they will say the important thing is to get the result. How you get it is immaterial. Demystifying Buhari is akin to believing in the mystification of Buhari in the first place.
Okay.
If you mystify Buhari and elevate him to a level that is above that of human being, the problem is yours. Buhari had not submitted in any of his presentation that is a superhuman being. He has never said he is above other people as far as the faculty of thinking and behavior is concerned. He is a human being. So those who mystified him did so at their own peril, at their own risk. And they are now left with the problem of having to demystify him because he has not performed according to their mystic thinking. So your PhD friend tell him to be academic, to be scientific, don't go by the theory of mystification or demystification. Look at human being. In my language, they said humans are 9. They can never be 10.
Like Adam Tarani.
Baya Chikagoma. And Buhari is an Adam. Buhari is a human being.
Do you still believe in him?
I do. I'm telling you, I will continue to believe in Buhari because of his integrity. I will continue to believe in Buhari because of his honesty. I will continue to believe in Buhari because of his distaste for corruption.
But are you worried with his poor performance? And do you feel ashamed that you people actually died for him?
When you say performance, it depends on what you mean by performance. It depends on what you look at as the parameter of expectations of performance. Buhari is one leader that has come to demystify, if I may go back to mystification, demystify that assumption that whoever enters the villa as the commander-in-chief, if he enters as a millionaire, he will live as a trillionaire. Every leader that has gone into villa, within the first year, you will begin to see mansions, you begin to see industries, you begin to see properties being assigned to his name, or he is being linked with massive accumulation of wealth.
And Buhari doesn't have that.
Buhari declared his asset before he became president. Buhari declared his asset after he became president. And I challenge everyone to go and check that. It's in the public domain. There is no difference.
But that's why that PhD, potential PhD student, say he wants to actually check whether, Buhari's life is actually being bankrolled by proxy. Because he was there when all these unfortunate things happened, and he didn't bother to call his lieutenants to account.
Yeah, but I'm talking about performance of a person as a person. There are many ways we can look at performance. Performance in the sense that he has made history by cleansing and cleaning that belief that you have to come in there to steal. He was there and he left without stealing. So that idea that people can enter with pride and live with pride, raise their heads high, that yes, I am incorruptible and I'm not corrupt, he has shown the way. Probably some people will learn.
But don't you think maybe he is regretting now? If he watches TV, they're talking about aviation, the rot in humanitarian affairs, works everywhere, almost every sector. They say, okay, and he was the captain of the ship. Can he be happy watching the world, accusing people who worked with him of, actually betraying the trust vested in them?
Okay, once an issue is under investigation and is gone to judicial adjudication or whatever they call it, you are not allowed to jump to conclusion. So these people are only accused of abuse of trust under Buhari. We should wait to see the outcome or the conclusion of the court, where they are said to be confirmed
infractions,
corrupt officers. Then we'll say yes. Now, we will now look at their corrupt enrichment and the link with Buhari. Is he a beneficiary of the accumulated wealth or not? Now, where is his failure in this regard? Is his failure because he did not properly breathe over their necks to make sure that they are doing the right thing, or he was busy sleeping while they were stealing, and therefore he's negligent? Until that decision is arrived at, we will not be able to indict Buhari directly for now. These people who have done this thing, we should wait for the outcome. Even though judicial proceedings in Nigeria, they tend to drag their feet. They take long. But at the end of the day, no matter how long it takes, the wheel of justice will roll properly and nail the culprit. So I don't want us, based on accusations or allegations by the EFCC, extend the blame to Buhari beyond that which is supposed to be apportioned to him, which I have apportioned to him myself as a Buharist. I apportioned to him the issue of giving too much trust. I think that idea of giving too much trust is one weakness of his that should be done.
Do you think Tinubu is towing the same path, or he is actually cutting his own line of governance?
No, I think Tinubu has come to show that he is going to distance himself from that approach. Within 6 months in office, a minister is now on suspension for diverting public
funds allegedly
for abuse of trust. Immediately, that allegation was made open and the public uproar became loud. he suspended the minister and he ordered investigation. We are waiting for the outcome of the investigation. That will tell us whether President Tinubu will act different from Buhari. Buhari, he has not suspended anybody, apart from Babachir Lawal, the then chief secretary to the government,
the
who was accused of,
scandal.
yes. Nobody in Buhari's government was suspended or asked to drop his bags and go subject to investigation. So Tinubu has come, I think, with a different approach. But that is not to say Tinubu can be insulated from those accusations. Nigerians will still accuse him of being bedeviled by people who are controlling him, of being robotly controlled, of also being taken over by the term cabal. He is not going to escape that.
So he has to be careful.
He has to be careful, but I think because he is a politician, a more experienced politician than Buhari, he will be able to walk through the banana peels.
People keep asking, Bala, member of APC, you are now director of information, but you speak like an opposition. Where are you getting the strength to do this?
Well, you see, the APC is a progressive party. And the APC is not claiming to be a collection of saints or people who drop from the sky or from heaven to govern the politics of the country. The APC is composed of people like you and I.
Even though I'm not a politician.
Okay, of human beings, that's what
right.
I want to say.
All right, yeah.
The APC is composed of people that are not infallible. These are people that can make mistakes. Nobody is saying APC is made up of people who cannot make mistakes. Now, if anybody has that mindset or thinking, he should discontinue watching this program.
Is that what is giving you the strength to actually speak out when things happen?
The APC, the leadership of APC has not for once discouraged me or told me not to tell the truth, provided it's in line with my conviction. And the APC, despite the fact that I am the head of the bureaucracy in the public image making department of the party, never asked me to lie or do public relations on the truth. Tell it as it is. This is a progressive party, and this is the style of leadership of the present national chairman of the party, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. In fact, because of his belief to make people align with the progressive ideas of the people, of the party, and to make the people know that they have a right to know the truth, he is in the process of setting up the Progressive Institute of APC. There is going to be the National Progressive Institute the party is setting up with a view to making people understand the proper meaning of politics, so that even when you want to criticize, you criticize constructively. If you think something is going wrong within the system, within the party, you will be educated in a way that will make you opine or lay bare your opinions without hurting anybody.
All right, thank you very much. I wish we had more time, Bala, but it's not on our side. We thank you very much for coming to the program, and we hope to have you some other time.
Thank you very much, Hamza. It's my pleasure being here, and I look forward to being here anytime you want me.
Thank you. And viewers, we've been interfacing with Bala Ibrahim, Director of Information of the All Progressive Congress, following his write-up on, Buhari, Emiefele, and the albatross of too much trust. And we hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics, airing live every weekday on our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues, as we will do tomorrow. Keep a date with us. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye for now. I am Hamza Idris.